can we safely say at this point that the calf is 100%?
All y'all need to say now is welcome back, Burrow. Welcome back.
The truth is, nobody cares what you won in this league if it isn't a Super Bowl. Nobody cares how injured your quarterback has been, or the fact that your second best receiver has missed time and hasn't looked anything like himself. And the Cincinnati Bengals have seemed to figure that out as well, as they're currently riding a 3-game winning streak. And them figuring it out isn't all that happened. 8 weeks into the season and Joe Burrow is finally starting to look like himself again. We all know Joe Burrow was dealing with a calf injury, and excuse or no excuse, that certainly limited his abilities. But this past Sunday, in his best game of the year against the 49ers, he showed several times that he was 100% healthy. The first time being when his pocket collapsed, but he was still able to move around and eventually break out of 2 would-be sacks. In managing to still deliver a dime with the defender breathing down on him. And that throw was a completion, but we just came for the Joe Burrow show. But the second time was on a crucial 3rd and 9. And if you look at this 49ers defense, they're playing man coverage with a single high safety over the top. But you also see there's a whole lot of green grass between Burrow and this safety. And again, Burrow makes this defense pay with his legs. Now, fool me one time, shame on you. Fool me twice, can't put the blame on you. And I believe the only way this 49ers defense felt comfortable playing Burrow like this was because they believed he was still injured. But he wasn't. And yet again, as this play develops, these safeties and linebackers clear out, creating a wide open running lane for Burrow. The Bengals started this season off with a 1-3 record, but now after winning 3 straight games, they're back to looking like those Super Bowl contenders. A very underrated piece of this team's success so far has been Joe Mixon. Mixon's runs just feel different this year. They're tougher and more decisive. Mixon currently ranks 13th in rushing yards with 453, and 13th in yards per game with 64. And I won't spend too much time on the run game because let's face it, we all tune in to watch the Burrow and Chase show. But Mixon is worth the price of admission as well. This play is a perfect example of him having tougher runs. Against this 49ers defense who have great linebackers that love to fly around and find the ball, the important thing is seeing the hole, hitting the hole, and picking up positive yards. And you always see the Bengals getting recognition for the amazing players that they have, but I'm here to remind you that there's a lot of scheme behind those players as well. Like here, typically if you run out of this formation, it will go to the right. But instead the Bengals slant down, which draws Patrick Queen's attention, but also opens up this beautiful cutback lane outside. And to prove that that wasn't a one-off or just a great read by Mixon, here it is again. They motion Joe Mixon just like they did last play. You think that this run is going right. But instead of slanting, they pull this time and run it right down their throats. And we've talked about Burrow being healthy, and we've also talked about what Joe Mixon brings to this offense. But now, we'll talk about them both. Weapons, weapons, weapons. That's all I see when I look at this Bengals offense. And once they start calling plays like these, they may as well have unlimited ammo. There are a lot of moving parts on these plays, so stay with me. Essentially what you need to know is the Bengals are going to fake the outside sweep to Joe Mixon, and they're going to come back underneath to Jamar Chase. But there's a lot more to the eye than it seems. First, the Bengals are going to motion Irv Smith, so it would appear that they're motioning him over just so they can run it back to the opposite side. And as this ball's hiked, you see the entire offensive line run block to the left, which causes these linebackers to flow that way as well. All the while, Irv Smith is just simply running his guy out of the play to create this easy completion to Jamar Chase. But here they switch it up a little bit and have Jamar faking the reverse. But the key to this play working is really the sleight of hand by Joe Burrow. Because since these two defenders can't find the ball, they're left in no man's land as Joe Mixon is able to get upfield behind them. And just when you think you have them figured out, they come back with more soldiers and more ammo. So here again, we have Jamar Chase coming in motion, and we have the fake handoff to Joe Mixon. And based off the two previous plays that we've seen, We know that this ball usually ends up going to the flats for a big gain. Of course, all-pro linebacker Fred Warner knows that, and I believe that's why he has eyes locked on Joe Mixon, and he even starts floating that way, anticipating the flat route. But the Bengals win this rep as they clear Fred Warner out of his zone for a huge completion behind him to T. Higgins. So of course, Joe Burrow and these receivers should get all the praise for this offensive success. But Joe Mixon has had a lot to do with the last 5 plays that we've seen. In fact, make it 6. Jamar Chase gets credited for the big gain, but Joe Mixon should also get half of these yards put on his stat line. The Bengals run this fake toss to the left, and since they've been running the ball so well, it leaves 2 defenders crashing down on the run, and they were the 2 defenders responsible for the 2 offensive players that made the play. All in all, these 8 weeks have been a roller coaster for Bengals fans. But as this offense is finding its stride, it looks like this hectic ride is almost over. Currently, the Bengals rank 28th in total offense with 277 yards per game, 23rd in passing yards with only 198 per game, and 29th in rushing yards with only 79 per game. And they also aren't averaging 20 points per game. So with this team statistically being in the bottom half of the league, the question has to be, how are these guys even sitting at 4-3? But simply put, it's their playmakers making plays. And I'll rapid fire off a couple examples for you. This is what weapons do for you. The key to this play are the 2 inside linebackers. And the Bengals are going to run double end routes to see which linebacker messes up first. And we see Irv Smith's route takes Fred Warner and this free safety away. So that creates a vacancy that Jamar Chase's end route is able to fill right away. But here on this variation of the double post, you see Tyler Boyd appears open, and I thought this is where Burrow was going to go with the ball. But he actually allows Boyd to occupy Patrick Queen, and Queen doesn't even see this second end breaking route. And I don't care what's going on over here, the defense must first take care of number 1. And rather it was a lack of communication or a lack of discipline. But the Bengals set up this fake bubble screen, hoping that it would get the DBs to bite, and that would allow Chase to sneak behind them for a touchdown. And here the Cardinals are on Tampa 2, which means 2 deep safeties, and the middle linebacker takes an extended drop as well. The problem is, right now Jamar Chase is past all 3 defenders. And with this deep curl route holding this safety, this deep ball is looking more and more open. And of course, Joey B loads up and puts it on a dime for a 60-yard touchdown. In this video, along with the past few weeks of football, have the Bengals back in Super Bowl contention. And we know that this team is more than capable to go on a run at any time. And one thing you can't do is bet against Joe Burrow. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check this video out as well, which is all about arguably the best receiver in the game today. Peace.